Perfect. Okay, let's get hopping in, guys. Let's get going. So, you may be wondering what to expect. What are we going to talk about during our time here together? So I just want to give you a quick little agenda or a snapshot so you know what to expect, right? That's what we said at the top. So we're going to talk about why we're talking about this. Why is it relevant? Like, why are we talking about family, tribe, and kingdom? What is the ancestral blueprint? Why do we care about economic freedom, right? All of that stuff. So we're going to make it make sense and make it be relevant to us. I have a few key concepts: family, tribe, and kingdom, kind of give you a hint to what those are. But we're going to go over what those key concepts are to make sure we understand them fully, because that's literally the purpose. I have some examples, some case studies or success stories that you can call them, that really help to paint the picture of what the blueprint looks like and how it can be effective. All right, then we're going to talk about establishing your legacy, our legacy, what we can do here in the now to make things better for our bloodlines. And of course, if you got any questions, hopefully I have answers. And if not, somebody in the room probably does. And if not, we'll get you an answer. So we do have time for some Q&A, okay? Again, if you have a question and you don't want to lose it or forget it, or you just have something that you want to say, type it down there in the chat. And then when we get to that part, we'll definitely get to you, okay? All right, so why we're here. And that's what the objectives are. You know, why are we here and why is it relevant? So this class is going to explore the ancestral wisdom of family, tribe, and kingdom structures. And the purpose is to establish economic freedom. So by understanding these traditional systems, going back to the traditional ways that things were done before they were changed, and we really didn't have too much say-so over that, right? We can adopt proven models that create sustainable and prosperous communities. We're here to fortify, we hear that term Black girl magic, right? And all those different things, but you got to fortify it. One thing that makes, ancestral veneration and things like that so special. All right, sorry about that, technical difficulties. But one of the things that make it so special is the fact that we draw on the power, really the power of the ancestors as the source, right? So perceived weakness or inability in your bloodline is going to subconsciously cause spiritual disconnections and distractions. So if you leave it to Hollywood, if you leave it to TV, we would think that all we ever were was slaves, and we've always only ever been disenfranchised. You know what I mean? But we know that there's more to it. And if that was all that we had, we wouldn't be as powerful as we are, So it's really up to us to redefine who the ancestors were and who they are in order to tap into the power, deeper than what we have been able to or are doing currently. So we got to understand that the ancestors transcend the names that we know, right? So that's one of those kind of like concepts that comes up a lot. We talk about the difference between, those dearly departed ancestors, your grandmama, your auntie them, and your great Uncle Joe, and then your elevated ascended ancestors who go back into creation. They go back into the start of time. So, I mean, just from that description, you can tell where some real power may lie, right? So we're here to empower ourselves, y'all. We're here to be proud of where and who we come from, and we're here to remember who we are. I have an elder who says that quite often. If you've ever taken a class with Priestess Omi Sika, she says that she's here to remind us of who we are. And as of lately, Ia has been saying it, our Ia, Reverend Priestess Oshun Funke, has been reminding us of that too. Like, we have to remember who we are, and that's what we're here for. There's a scene in Black Panther. It is by far my favorite scene. If you know, I'm corny. I will cry at like almost anything. And there's a scene in Black Panther where I don't even want to say the names. I might got some names wrong, but like T'Challa, ain't that Black Panther? Anyway, when Black Panther is fighting the other guy, right? And he's losing, he's getting beat up. And his mom, Angela Bassett, you know, we love Auntie Angela. Angela Bassett was like, remember who you are. And that did something, and it turned something on in him. He remembered who he was, whose he was, and he beat that boy butt, right? You know, I was watching Moana last night, and the same thing happened. So if you know Moana, you might know the scene that I'm talking about. I never really noticed it until last night, and I think that was getting ready for today's class. But she felt defeated too. She felt defeated, and she was crying, and she was so sad. And the entire mission was a bust, and it just seemed like everything was going to be a fail. And then our spirit guide had to remind her to remember who you are. And that changed the whole movie, right? We got to see the amazing stuff that ended up happening because she remembered who and who she was. So it's just so much power just in that. So that's what we're here for. Like really the relevance why we're here. We're here to empower ourselves. We're here to be proud of where and who we come from. And we're here to remember who we are. There are a few takeaways that you see the takeaways there, you'll take them away. Understand the ancestral blueprint, identify successful models, promote self-sufficiency, and foster kingdom networks. But you guys, I think if you feel me, you feel me. It's a little bit deeper than that. And that's where we're going, okay? We have lots of plans all together, collectively, individually. There are so many plans to progress and prosper in the future. And for us to do that together and to really be effective, I think it's really important for us to like lay some initial ground rules, some foundational points that we know and we're able to build on before we move forward. And that's what this is. This is the foundation. This is going back to move forward, okay? All right, so I told you it was gonna be some key concepts. I kind of gave you a hint to what those key concepts were, right? And so bear with me if this particular class feels a little bit more philosophical or like philosophy or political science. I know it may definitely wane that way a little bit, but like I said, there's a method to the madness, you know? And I think it's important for us to be able to properly identify these concepts so that we're able to appropriately apply them in our lives, right? And it seems simple. I know right now you're like, I know my family. I got my tribe. You know what I'm saying? But terms like family and tribe have been miscommunicated and misused for so long that a lot of us seem to have confused them and oftentimes use them interchangeably when they really aren't, you know? And terms like kingdom, don't get me started on that one. Terms like that have been completely stripped away from us completely so that we don't use them or that we don't recognize them in our lives. So that's what we're here to redefine so that we can identify the concepts. By building strong, interconnected networks, so by working these networks, you know, that's how we break free from oppressive systems. That's what's going to allow us to govern ourselves and maintain independence. Okay? So family. Family is the basic social unit responsible for nurturing and inheritance. And I know that's the key word for me there is that inheritance part. Everyone that you call family, your sis and your bro, do you want them to have influence over your assets, the things that you leave for others, or even those things that you may be inheriting? You know, are they really your family? Right? I know we like to say we're all family, but sometimes I would challenge you to rethink it. A tribe is a collection of families with shared traditions and systems. So that just means we bond together over shared belief. We believe the same things. We think that we should do things kind of the same way. And for those reasons, we are able to connect, right? Now, a kingdom is a collection of tribes that's under a central leadership. Now, if you think about each of these systems, right, they all have a head or like a chief or a CEO, if you will. You have the head of your family. the person that is making the calls, that is saying, you know, who does what, who goes to what, who pays the bills, could be how you determine it. You know, it's going to look different for everyone, but that family is going to have a head. If you aren't able to identify the head of the family right now, then it may be something for you to consider and reevaluate. The same with the tribe and the same with the kingdom. There's going to be a head, and everyone works together to make these things function. Yes? So I emphasize these terms in order to encourage us to reevaluate the folks and the networks that are in our lives, because I think if we do, we'll see that a bit of them need to be recategorized. And again, that seems so simple, but we have to start there, because as you're building for your bloodline and you're saving up, you know, that good harvest, what they say, a good man leaves, you know, a harvest for his grandchildren. Paraphrase, but you guys get what I'm saying. You know, as you're going through this life and you are working to build up your storehouse, you are working for something for your grandbabies. Be careful of who has influence over those things, right? So we really want to redefine the family. So now this model, family, tribe, kingdom, is what I'm referring to when I say the ancestral blueprint for economic freedom. Here you see 3 different layers of resources, 3 different layers of protection, and 3 different layers of accountability that were just by default built into what the ancestors were already doing, okay? Strong families make strong tribes, who then make strong kingdoms, who are able to make strong moves, y'all. Because always, we know it, we're stronger together than we are apart. So if we want to speak systematically about the world that we live in, we've talked about it. We know that it was intentional to tear down the Black family and to disenfranchise the Black tribe by pulling us away from one another. But now that we have the knowledge that we do, it's on us to rewrite it and change the narrative and to get back to what actually works. Okay, because what they say, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome. If it ain't really right just yet. We know it ain't really right. That's why we're working together to make it right. So use this time to just get back to the basics in that way. Okay. Again, it seems super simple. I know it seems simple, but we haven't really been doing this thing in practice, right? But we have proof that it does work. And we know that situations are situations and time evolves, things are different, right? But a strong family makes for a easier, a more supportive, a better life, typically, right? So we can see all the ways that we're getting back to it. We know we're fixing that single parent household that's been a thing for so long, and we're fixing just the strong Black woman who had to do everything by herself, who had no time to nurture herself. We're redefining how she has to prioritize herself. Like, we're seeing bits and pieces of why it's important to go back to our ancestral models. But here we have concrete, evidence that these things were working before, monkey wrenches and things like that were thrown into the plans. So with the current popularity of ATRs, EFA specifically, there is a lot of discussion surrounding the Yoruba people. I feel, a lot of people know about the Yoruba tribe, right, of Nigeria and West Africa. But we know that the Yoruba aren't the only notable African dynasties. So I thought it was important that we pulled out and highlighted a few others, right? And that just proves that the ancestral system is effective if it works across different nations, if it works across different regions, if it's been implemented and effective with different people. I also think that it was important to bring up different tribes, kingdoms, and systems, because saying their names and giving honor to the work that they did is a form of respect. It's literally a form of ancestral veneration when we pop the ancestor shit and we say what they did and how they were able to do it. So honor to the ancestors today and always, right? All right, so 3 examples that you probably know, you've heard of a little bit, and that just goes back to tell you about the power of those kingdoms because we have heard of them, right? So you have the Ashanti Kingdom. So this is a powerful West African kingdom known for its rich culture and economic strength. The Ashanti thrived through a centralized administration and trade routes rich in gold. Within the kingdom, everyone had a specific role: traders, warriors, farmers, some were even healers, and they all contributed to the kingdom's prosperity. So each part, each tribe, because as we know that oftentimes ancestrally, well, when we go back to, our days in Africa before the transatlantic slave trade, tribes often did the same thing, right? So a tribe will be like, this tribe is nomadic gatherers, or this tribe is warriors, this tribe is traders, right? So these tribes came together all to do their part and to contribute to the kingdom's prosperity. So much so that here we are in 2024 still talking about the powerful Ashanti Kingdom. We can talk about the Igbo. So Igbo village system was a decentralized system of governance and communal living. The Igbo's market economy and democratic governance highlight the benefits of shared leadership and local trade networks. Each member of the community had a special function, from craftsmen to traders, educators to spiritual leaders. This was amazing to see that we had worked out systems prior to that were democratic in nature, and they shared the leadership responsibilities across the kingdom and across the tribes. All right, and lastly, just the highlight for now is the Zulu Kingdom. So they are known for its strong leadership and military organization. Like, don't play with the Zulu, right? The Zulu Kingdom's agricultural practices and communal land ownership provide a model for sustainable community living. The kingdom thrived because of its clear division of labor, including warriors, farmers, and again, the healers, okay? These examples show how cohesive family, tribe, and kingdom structures have historically enabled communities to thrive economically and socially by having each individual play a specific, valuable role. All right. And that's the key to the ancestral blueprint for economic freedom, is that each individual has to play their part. They have to walk their lane, stay in their lane, walk their road, and do what has to be done for the greater good. It's saying that as long as I come through with my part, I'm going to have faith that my brother is going to come through with their part. And together we can move 2 times as fast or 2 times as strong than if I was doing it by myself. We see a lot of divide, which we know is intentional as well, when it comes to trying to build things within our community, speaking specifically about the African diaspora. So getting back to these ancestral practices will give us a chance to unite, which is going to give us a chance to just be an actual force to be reckoned with. There was a statistic that EI shared in one of the classes recently, or a discussion or something that we were having, and it blew my mind. And this kind of really what started this train of thought that we really have to get back to being strong and not letting nobody tell us who we are or what it is that we're supposed to be doing, right? So that was this one here. It says, if African Americans united as a cohesive economic force, their combined buying power exceeding 14 or 1.4 trillion dollars would position them as equivalent to the 16th largest nation globally in terms of economic strength. There are a lot of nations globally, guys, right? And as of right now, I don't think many of us would identify us, African Americans, as a collective group, as a nation. But we could be, technically we are, if we were to band together. So the goal, like why, like it's like we talking about all of this, right? We talking about, giving honor to the ancestors for what they did, using what they did as a model for how we should move moving forward. But what's the goal here, Brandy? You know what I mean? The goal is kingdom networks, interconnected kingdoms. It's us working together in order to push the agenda forward. It's us no longer relying on the government or for other systems outside of us to come through and save us, because there's no savior coming, y'all. It's us. Jesus said the power that he has, he gave to us, and we got it even more. If Jesus was the savior, then what are you? Right? We have to move together, not only for us now, but for the generations to come, and also as a homage to the ancestors that came before us. I would not mind at all being a part of the 16th largest nation globally, because I was able to join hands and lock up with my brothers and sisters, okay? So you may be wondering, how can you establish your bloodline's legacy? How do you, in years to come, be the Ashanti? How do you, in years to come, be the Zulu? Because that's it. The name of the series, I didn't say that in the beginning, but there will be a few other pieces, right? And the name of the series is actually Reclaiming Our Kingdoms. It is time for us to sit back on the thrones. And that throne is metaphorical. I'm literally not saying that you have to go buy a big chair, that has gold on it. No, I'm not talking about that throne, but the throne of prestige, the throne of authority, the throne of leadership is what I challenge you to go find and sit your pretty brown booty on, okay? Because you deserve to be there. And it's been too long that we haven't been able to sit in those rightful places. You may be wondering, again, we mentioned it a little bit earlier, but like, how does this tie into your magic? But if the source of your magic, if you're hoodoo, right? You will hoodoo how you do. If the source of your magic is the power and the strength of your ancestors, then it is only right and it's imperative that you tap into the power and the strength of your ancestors. And it's going to amplify everything that you do, not only purely by power, but because of intention. Okay? So, 3 ways to think about locking this in for you. Ifa tells us that we are continuously reborn through our blood relatives. And that idea of reincarnation, we see reincarnation against different spiritual systems, but reincarnation says, I come back here for another chance to get it right. I come back here for another experience. Again, Ifa says I come back in my same family. Back to stuff being better if I have to come back. Okay, I need stuff to be straight. You should want stuff to be okay. If your grandmama got to come back, do you want your grandmama to come back and wonder where all her hard work went? No. We stop some of the cycles, right? We stop having to kind of learn the thing all over again if we leave tools and we leave resources and we leave building blocks for the people that are going to come after us. They shouldn't have to start all the way over. We've agreed collectively throughout the culture, we're not trying to have our kids get it out the mud. They shouldn't have to. You shouldn't have to get it out the mud when you come back here in lifetimes to come if you do the work now, right? Lock that thing in for your family. Don't let anyone be able to tell you what you can, what you can't do, what you have access to and what you don't have access to. It's time that we lock those things in for ourselves, okay? So again, right now, we're just talking about the family. Later on, we will talk about things that we can do for the tribe. We will talk about things that we can do for the kingdom. So I know this is it's real basic right now because we're talking about that nuclear social system that is responsible for nurturing, remember, and for your inheritance. That's what we're talking about. So we'll build, but we have to start here. So some ideas for that are a family trust. I encourage you to hold your things in a family trust. Okay, this is not advice. This is just a tip for you to go research and do your own deep diving from there. But to hold your things in a family trust so that we don't run into those scenarios that we see so often where baby girl ain't know what she was doing and she sold grandmama's house. Their grandmama worked, cried, bled for. Now the house is gone and it's somebody else's family's asset now. We don't want things like that to be able to happen. We don't want someone to get mad at a certain family member and now they don't have access to assets that you left for them. When you hold it in a family trust, it becomes the trust. It becomes the entity that actually governs those things, and you can put parameters around it to safeguard your hard work as you move forward. Okay? Inheritance systems. That's something that a lot of other cultures have, and individually throughout the African diaspora, you see examples of such, but we don't talk about it as much. If we take a page from like Bridgerton's book, we know Bridgerton is a popular show right now, and it's based on like the English peerage system. So you remember how when the show, the titles and the land are passed down through generations. So like if it's yours, if you're Lord Bridgerton, his estate is the Bridgerton estate. It has to be passed down to the next head of the household, like we talked to a second ago. So it's all about maintaining the family wealth and stability. Just like the Bridgerton family, we need to set up clear inheritance systems to keep our legacy strong and thriving. So I'm not saying it has to be the firstborn son, obviously. You can put your own parameters around that. It used to be not paternal lineages, but matrilineal lineages where we actually followed the mother's line. So, the females in the family actually held the family name and things of that sort. You don't have to do it. I just want you to have a system in place to say when such and such is gone, who picks up the mantle? Somebody has to pick up the mantle, or else, again, all the hard work, it flops to the ground, right? And self-sufficiency. We're talking about reducing dependence on external systems. So that's your food, housing, education, healthcare. You can grow your food. You can start systems within tribes to share food, to barter food. Housing, we want to make sure that we own our houses. I guess my point here with self-sufficiency is that get it for yourself and have a way to get it that doesn't depend on anybody else, right? We want to be able to supply our own food for our people. So that looks like your family having a say-so in it, but also working with another family and another family. Now you have a tribe, right, that is addressing food. So between you and your tribe, you don't need nobody else. If they was to say right now, everything got GMOs in it, which like it does, right? Everything right now got heavy metal in it, which it kind of does, right? It's giving our kids autism and all this other stuff. We don't have to depend on what they're supplying us if we do it ourselves. Housing. How many stories have we heard about, Sister June, who rented that house for 47 years and now they kicked her out because she didn't own the house, okay? So you guys get it. Food, housing, education. It's a quote from Malcolm X, but again, it was actually Ia that said it during a plant medicine ceremony. And now every so often I just hear her say it when I'm working with the schools and things, but it's a fool that would leave, his kids to be educated by his enemy. We know they ain't teaching us the right stuff, y'all. We complain about it all the time. So when do we take that up into our own hands and say that we're going to educate our babies so that they know the magic they hold, they know the power they hold, and they know who and whose that they are? Healthcare, in every one of the systems that we discussed, the Ashanti, the Zulu, the Igbo, we talked about how there is a healer within the ranks that is able to take care of healthcare and health concerns of the people. So these are things that we need to get back to so that we are thriving, growing, and doing for ourselves, not dependent on the ops. Okay. All right. We love a bit of homework, okay? And so I did a lot of talking to you, but it ain't really about me. I just hope that if there was something that clicked, and you may be wondering now, well, what were my ascended ancestors like? What type of lives did they lead? What power am I not tapping into? Hopefully, we're thinking about all those things. How can I amplify my power by working with my igungun instead of my dearly departed? How can I strengthen the connection between me and my igungun so I know how to do this legacy work, right? These are the questions that I'm hoping are in your head now. I can't answer them because we know how this spiritual thing goes. Your path is your path and your bloodline is your bloodline. So that's what you have to tap into to get a clear picture of what it is they want to see, what it is that would help you in this time that they already know, that they've already done, that they've already built. We have this bad thing. I say we a lot because I feel like we can't separate ourselves from the group, right? So it may be sometimes where I'm like, not me, y'all, right? But I'm not my sister's keeper. I am my sister, right? So we have this thing too often. Sorry guys, got sidetracked over there, but we have this thing too often where we kind of like that crab in a barrel mentality. You know what I'm saying? When we should be building. That's the point where we should be building. So I want you to tap into your igungun, that power that we're talking about, those most ascended ancestors, and using the tool of your choice, whatever that is, whatever you use to divine. Talk to them about tonight's class. Ask them whatever you need to ask them, but what may come up. But a good question is igungun. What do I need to know about strengthening our bloodline's legacy? Find out, what their thoughts are about it, what role you could play in, and all those amazing things. Okay. See what blessings or see what things are already stored up in the ancestral treasury for you that you just have not been able to tap into or withdraw from just yet. That was my point earlier. I missed that. I know y'all saw that, like the deer in the headlights look when I was like, what was I about to say? But we want to reinvent the wheel. We want to reinvent the wheel so that we can get the credit of being the inventor, right? Well, we're done with all of that. We said we're not reinventing the wheel anymore. Somebody in your bloodline sacrificed so that you can have a good job. Like you're starting over, but they already built that up in that legacy for you. They've already stored up things for you. And it's almost like a waste. They feel like it's almost wasted because you're not using it. They put in hard work for you to have quick, easy access to this stuff right here off of their name, off of their face. Like they built up face in the streets, right? And we ain't even using it. Okay. So divine, talk to them. See how to strengthen your bloodline's legacy. How do you become the Zulu of your state? How do you become the Ashanti of your state? How do you become these tribes that we're talking about years and years later because of the work that they did? Okay. Now you're going to get some answers. If you divine, you're going to get something back. You should. Now you need to sit with it. Okay. So you don't want to meditate for at least 10 minutes. If you realize that you need more, expand it, do a few days. But I would say praying is talking to the universe and talking to spirit. Meditating is that time to receive back. So you divine, y'all was talking. Now you need time for those downloads and the responses that you got to really click and become revelations. That happens through meditation. So whatever tools you use to really connect to your ancestors, whether that's a white candle, if you have an ancestor altar already, whatever it is that you use, that's what you want to use during this meditation time to tap in. If it's gospel, healing frequencies, if you like to hear, I don't know, something else, whatever it is, you want to use that, okay? And then lastly, journal. So you got some answers when you divine. You meditated so that those answers became revelations and convictions. You actually feel them. Now you have to journal them for two reasons. So that you remember them, because sometimes they come and they go and we'd be like, what was that? So you have to remember them then you have to hold yourself accountable so that you can take action. If you write down in that journal, my ancestor said, I need to, establish a family trust. And you go back and you read that you never did, you should feel some type of way, right? Like this is you holding you accountable by journaling. So that's why you want to make note of the messages and things that you get, okay? And that take action piece, really take action, because that's what it's about. We don't want to wait anymore. We are not going to be those people that are waiting for the Savior. I just said it. Jesus said what he did, you can do it too. So how long are we going to wait? All right. All right, you guys. I knew it was going to be a little like a philosophy class, a little history class, but it does tie directly into our power, into the magic that we wield and amplifying it. Ia always say, what's a goon to a goblin? All right. Right. I mean, what's a goon to a goblin? If you sitting around and all you know is your disenfranchised, woe is me self, your magic is going to be woe is me. But if you know that you are descendant of not only we get so caught up sometimes on kings and queens. They had their job and they did amazing. And many of us descend from kings and queens, especially if you continue to go back through your lineage. But baby, be proud of them farmers because they fed people. Be proud of them warriors because they protected people. Be proud of them healers because they saved people. You get what I'm saying? Be proud of those daycare mamas that was watching the babies while the warriors was out there working, because we needed them too. We need every single piece. And so we need you to do your part. All right. Hopefully we see how that all ties in together and everybody is on a wave to reclaim our kingdoms and retake our seats at our thrones. Kanye, what's the Kanye and Jay-Z song? I'm Now Watching the Throne. I love that song. When I hear it, that's the ancestors. Because it's like, we need to protect what they built and honor it at the same time. All right, you guys, you got any questions? Let me hop over into the chat. Any questions whatsoever, let me know. Come off mute, put it in the chat. Thank you. Thank you, guys. All right, thank you for your feedback in the comments. Thank you for kind words. If you pop some kind words in the comments, I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you, y'all. This was good. I'm excited. Oh, yes. Go ahead, Ia.
All is one. First of all, let me say I am so proud of you. This was your first class, and I'm so happy that I was able to make it. You did an excellent job. Very, very excellent class. A topic that we certainly need to think about and consider more. And, as of late, I have been bringing topics that are aligned to this up, like things like reparations, and things of that nature, because I think that as a community, and you talked about, families, we need to start teaching this in the house. We need to start teaching our children what money is, and not just money, but things of value. We need to reorient them around things that are truly valuable, food and the ability to grow it, and to make things with your hands, and knowledge that's powerful. So we have work to do in our families. And then you mentioned, tribes. We have to start trusting each other again in our communities, and coming together and banding together and being strong and powerful in our neighborhoods. Taking neighborhood watch a step further and really owning our communities and governing over our communities without any outside authorities telling us what's good for us. Politicians making rules for us who never lived in our neighborhoods or walked our streets or know the realities of what we're dealing with, food deserts and, strategic contamination and et cetera, the things that we deal with in the Black community. Look at Flint, Michigan, the water source literally being contaminated. People don't know about that stuff. So we have to come together, and, it's easy to clean water. Those folks in Flint could have had solutions if they were working together as a community, if those families had come together as tribes. And then, you know, once we get to the point where we have some strong tribes, where we are situated and aligned with one another, then we can really consider, you know, sitting back on those thrones and creating communities. And so I think that this type of teaching and thinking is so necessary, because it's not far-fetched. It's only far-fetched because it's been held and dangled in front of us. And so, you know, like a greyhound on a racetrack, we're just chasing this dream of what once was, these kingdoms of old that we only just were allowed to learn about. But what if we actually have an ancient future? What if the goal is for us to actually remember what we've already done so we could do it better? So I think this class is wonderful. I think it's in alignment with what we need to be doing. Thank you very much. Mama is proud.
Thank you, Ia, because I don't know if you saw my face making all the faces, but like I am the amen corner. You said everything like I think I forgot to say. Like, yes. Okay, thank you, thank you. All right, anybody else? All right, I look forward to seeing you guys again on July 25th. So on July 25th, we're going to be talking about gatekeeping and allyship. All skin folk ain't kinfolk. And then again, in the words of my ear, everybody can't come. So that we got, everybody can't come. So as we're gonna, you know, talk about how we're gonna tighten up our families, tighten up our tribes, but we got to know who to keep out. We got to keep that thing safe. So that's what we're gonna be talking about on the 25th. I hope to see you all there. Connect with me. So please visit us at orishahoodoo.com. Check out the amazing services, retreats, the staff that is there for your utilization. Follow us, please, here at Orisha Hoodoo Institute at YouTube or on YouTube with the priestess Oshun Funke. Join the Orisha Hoodoo Institute Facebook page. We do a lot of good stuff over there. Get access to our private community on Discord if you have not. And of course, if you have any questions about any of these, just message me and I will get you the links. Like me at Facebook, if you will, at Irresponsible Naturals. And if you feel so called, feel free to send a love offering to, what's that? What they say, hashtag, whatever, money sign, Bam the Guru. Okay, because that is me, you guys. And if we don't have any other questions, I am good. I am done. I thank you. And honor to the ancestors always. Bye.